Hey everyone, welcome to Xaynew Stories. This is Wild Saturdays.
Story number 1, posted in our confession. I called the cops to get home. User Profanity Inspector writes, I feel kinda bad about this. Last night, I got off work at 11:36 p.m. just after the last bus of the night. It was extremely cold, very windy, and snowing like crazy. I was not prepared to be put in that longer than 30 minutes to an hour. I was in my uniform, boots and jacket and all. Okay, no problem. I'll just call a Lyft. No drivers available. Okay, no problem. I'll call a taxi. No drivers available. So I called friends to see if I could crash the night or get a ride. No luck. Then my phone died. I ate some of the food I was going to take home, then ditched it, and decided to try and walk 3 hours home. I made it to a block and turned back. The wind was so cold, so I decided to walk with the wind to a heated bus shelter. But again, made it to about a block to an unheated bus shelter. I decided I was going to chill there till Tim Hortons opened at 5 a.m. Then catch the first bus to my home. Well, eventually, I couldn't feel my hands or toes and was struggling to move. Pacing and running in place wasn't keeping me warm anymore, so I tried to call the non-emergency for help. But I don't know their number and I only had enough battery for the dispatcher to pick up and then it immediately died. Cops arrived 10 minutes later. They were rightfully very annoyed but got me in their car and I explained everything. They went from annoyed to understanding and then to very concerned. Also, I found out I'd been out there for almost 4 hours. They drove me to the paramedic station. The paramedics checked me quickly and said I'd be fine, just stay out of the cold and take a lukewarm shower or bath when I get home. Like I said, I feel really bad for doing that. I know the police are not a taxi, but even now I still don't see any other options I had. I'd exhausted all the ride options, tried all my friends in the area, tried to ride it out and took the shelter, and everything was closed. No bars, cafe, corner stores, or gas stations. I just know this will bother me for quite a while. I really hate that I did that, but I was genuinely worried about losing a limb or something severe. I'm glad you're okay, OP, because honestly, that's what you should have done in the first place. Calling the emergency services was actually the right move because it's what it's used for. Whether the paramedics came, the cops, or any emergency services came out there, it was actually their job. Story number 2. Posted in Nuclear Revenge. You wanna hit a disabled person? Have fun with 30 years in jail. User Chaotic Lokeen writes, this happened in January, but the district attorney called me 2 days ago with the update. I use a wheelchair because of a fainting disorder. I came home from work to see a car parked right under a no parking fire lane and on the sidewalk. It blocked the way into my apartment and I had to leave the wheelchair in my car. I started taking photos of the car because this had been an issue with the owner for months. My landlord had told me to get photos of it and email them to him every time she did it after I mentioned it in passing. While taking a photo, the owner came out of the apartment to scream at me. I stayed calm and tried to walk into my apartment. She got in my face to continue screaming and by reflex I shoved her back. She then grabbed me by the throat and began to punch me. After a minute, my neighbors came as well as my roommates who were having a smoke. They came in running and got her off me. Police were called. Paramedics showed up because my neck was bleeding. She had acrylic nails and I ended up going to the ER. I decided to press charges, thinking I'd get an aggravated assault or something. I made sure they got her while she was not home because I knew she had a gun on the wall despite being a convicted felon. When the police went to arrest her, they found the car was stolen, as well as without insurance. She didn't have a license as well, and there was used needles all over the apartment with her 8-year-old child, and the gun which was also marked stolen. The child is now in foster care and she in jail. The DA said that her child recorded it and it was already ruled as an assault because of the overwhelming proof, plus the 7 counts of assault she's gotten in the past 5 years already. All in all, she was charged 30 years in jail. I'm sorry you had to go through that, OP. I mean, like seriously, who beats up a person who is disabled? You have to be some kind of lowlife to actually do that to someone, which she apparently is. Story number 3. Posted in Nuclear Revenge. Being the worst boss ever does not pay off. User One Half of Ham writes, this was originally shared in Petty Revenge but was told I should post it here too. In the year 2003, the company I was working for closed down, so I sought out new employment. I was a machinist by trade with a great reputation, so it took me less than a day to get a job. We will call the new place Spiral because of the specialized tools they made. Anyway, I started out as one of the operators. The place was owner operated, meaning the owner was there daily. He had a floor supervisor that was actually pretty nice. After I had been there for around a year, the owner and super had a falling out and the super left. For whatever reason, the owner, we shall call him Dick, told me I was in charge. A little backstory on Dick. He was in his late 60s and had started the company out of his garage. He ended up buying a huge chunk of land and turned it into an industrial park, all while in his 20s. By now, he was one of the richest guys in the state. He was also the biggest a-hole I have ever met. He treated every people like garbage, except for me and one other guy. If we dared to talk to each other during work hours, he would scream at us. My promotion kind of financially trapped me. Dick would have no problems talking to me though, and he was the braggy sort of rich guy, all the while paying us the bare minimum. During our talks, I learned he cooked his books. You see, the industrial park was owned by an entity that he had created, while Spiral was owned by another. He would always make sure that the park entity charged Spiral enough in rent that it looked like the company was barely staying afloat. He also bragged he had taken a bunch of industrial waste and buried it on his property at home. He made my life hell over the next decade, always keeping my pay just high enough that I could not afford to leave while treating me and my guys like crap. I ended up with a 95% turnover rate on employees. I am not exaggerating. We ended up having to go to a temp agency towards the end, and even they refused to send me people. I had to do some careful wording, but my duties ended up swelling to the point where I convinced Dick to let me say I was the plant manager. This right here was huge. I have no degree from college, but I now had a title and the experience. I started to look for a job in earnest, and after 6 months I found one for a lot more money as well as benefits. Yeah, Spiral had none. Now over my time at Spiral, I had seen everyone that gave them notice to be told to leave on the spot, and the company that hired me insisted I give them the 2-week notice. So I said I would, but I didn't. At the end of my last day, I sat at my desk and sent an email to the head of OSHA and the state's EPA office, 2 men that I had gotten to know well. I filled them in on all of the violation that Dick had disclosed. I also sent an email to the state attorney about the books. I left my keys on my desk with a paper under them that simply read, "I quit." I never found out if the state attorney went anywhere, but the contact at OSHA let me know the company ended up with $150,000 in fine for some willful violations. Also, the EPA guy dug half of Dick's property before he admitted to where he buried the waste. Last I knew, he ended up going to jail.
If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. This is Xaynew Stories, and I'll see you on the next one.